American Metal Reviews.
Alright, so Wolfenstein The New Order came out May 20th, of course, the year 2014. It's developed by Machine Games, is published by Bethesda, and is of course, the latest installment in the Wolfenstein franchise. So, to kind of give a rundown of what this game's about, this game is basically is a new way for the Wolfenstein series to end, basically saying that the Nazis won World War II, and putting you in the what-if scenario of a Nazi-ruled world in the year 1960. So, I'll talk about the characters and the plot, which is, and I'll start that off with this. So, you play as William B.J. Blazkowicz, who's basically been the protagonist of every Wolfenstein game, all the way back from the 2D side-scroller Wolfenstein game to Wolfenstein 3D to the very subpar 2009 Wolfenstein created by run by Activision. And one thing that the guys at Machine Games said was that even though they say that Wolfenstein, that game did happen, they would like to forget that it happened. Because honestly, playing it, 2009's Wolfenstein just wasn't that good. So, at least in my opinion. Some people really liked it, I didn't. But basically, it's 1946 is when the game starts. That's where the first two missions take place. And then you go into 1960 from there on out. Or you go into a thing, and you meet Anya Strauss, who's BJ's love interest, and also, I guess, was his caretakers for 14 years. So, after that, you go off, and eventually you meet up with the Resistance, and you see Caroline Becker, who was, the leader of the Resistance in the Activision Wolfenstein. And that's literally the only connection to the old Wolfenstein game that there is. Like I said, Machine Games wanted to go as if that game never happened, and I don't blame them. And I'm not going to spoil the story, so that's all I'll say about that. But, it's really cool, though, how they kind of changed up history, where if you read all of the newspaper clippings that are around, you find out that basically instead of losing the Battle of Stalingrad, the Germans win that using the Panzerhund, which is a giant mechanical dog you meet like in the first mission. And so basically everything gets flipped then. D-Day happens with the Germans invading Great Britain and taking over Great Britain. And in 1948, the Germans drop an atomic bomb on New York City, and that's how they knock America out of the war. And then they take over Japan, and so, again, Nazi world domination. But on the actual gameplay itself, the game plays really fun. It's one of the most fun first-person shooters I've played in a long time. Whereas you look at a game like Titanfall, where Titanfall could easily be seen as the next step, the next logical step in the first-person shooter genre. Wolfenstein is kind of a step back. Instead of having like a 2-3 gun limit, you can literally carry whatever gun you pick up. And one of the funny anecdotes from early in this game's development is Bethesda said that basically there needs to be big heavy machine guns, and you need to be able to dual wield everything. And when they say you can dual wield everything, they mean everything. You can dual wield, assault rifles, pistols, shotguns. You can dual wield knives, which is kind of not useful at all. And you can dual wield sniper rifles. You can't zoom in with them, which would have been awesome if you could. But, again, it's kind of that really over-the-top, old-school first-person shooter gameplay. And the other funny thing about it is that you can also get this laser weapon, which you can upgrade throughout the course of the game. But it's like you can cut through electric fence, and eventually it becomes like a super beam where you can take out heavy weapons with one go. You can have it. One of the upgrades is you can have it reflect off of objects. It'll bounce, and then also it'll strobe. Is another cool thing, and that's something that kind of happens throughout the course of the game. You can kind of get an upgrade for every weapon. You know, you can get a grenade launcher for the assault rifle, and if you dual wield assault rifles, yes, you can dual wield grenade launchers. I found that out, and it was really fun. You can get a silencer for your pistol. It's the only weapon you can get a silencer for, and then yeah, you can dual wield silenced pistols. And I think the coolest thing is you can get shrapnel rounds for your shotgun, which is basically all the pellets from the shotgun blast. They don't, if they don't hit an enemy, they don't stop. They'll bounce around a little bit until they hit something, which is really cool, and it's really useful for trying to clear out a room. So, that's how the guns are really cool in this game. The enemy types are also cool because there's dogs, which are sometimes a bit of a pain, and then there's the soldiers. But then besides that, there are the generals, which can call for backup, and so you want to try to take those out stealthily as possible. There are, like I said, the Panzerhunds, which are a kind of a bitch to take out if you don't have like a machine gun or something. There's the super soldiers, which are giant mechs that are really a bitch. I remember early on in the game, like the third or fourth mission in the game, I had to take on 2 of them, and all I had left was my pistol. So that was not fun. But then eventually, once you get the laser weapon, because the laser weapon's really good against them, then it's actually not that bad. And then the other thing is there's the monitors, which you only encounter 2 in the story. You encounter 1 in the very first mission, and then you encounter 1 after you go to the moon. And it's the London monitor, and you have to take it on by yourself. And it's basically a giant tripod. If you've seen the movie War of the Worlds, that's the movie. If you've seen the War of the Worlds movie that came out a couple years ago, that's basically what it is. But yeah, this game, like I said, it's one of the most fun experiences I've had so far on Next Gen. And I'm not just saying that because there's really only 3 Next Gen games that I've played. But it really is. It's just a lot of fun. The game doesn't take itself seriously. I mean, BJ Blazkowicz is just he's not going to win a Protagonist of the Year award, but he's the perfect protagonist for this kind of game. It's a very macho game, very guide driven, and one of his lines on the mission where he goes to the moon, Caroline radios him in, and he's like, BJ, can you hear me? What's your status? And he goes, well, I'm on the motherfucking moon. And I'm like, wow. It's just kind of like just one of those, again, it's an overly macho game, and it's fun. And the gameplay is not realistic at all, really. You can go through one room, guns a-blazing, and just have all hell break loose, and then literally go up a flight of steps, and everybody will act like they didn't hear a thing, and you can go through stealthy. It makes it more fun, but it takes away the realism. But then again, the Nazis didn't win World War II, so I guess this doesn't have to be the most realistic game ever. And I guess the only other thing that I saw, which I just remembered, is that a lot of people were complaining about the relationship between BJ and Anya, in which their relationship starts off as more of a, he's thankful because he was in a comatose state for 14 years that she took care of him, and she probably is one of that one thing, the Florence Nightingale effect, where nurses fall in love with their patients. That's probably what happened with her. And then after shit goes down at the hospital that he's at, and then they're in a physical relationship 3 missions later, everybody was like, that went so quickly. How can somebody who literally just lost everything do that? And my rebuttal for that is, how you don't know how long the time frame in between missions. It seems like they could be day to day. It's like the next day or the next week, but it could be months. The game doesn't really elaborate too much on that, and yeah. But there's all kinds of cool things in this game. There's Fallout Easter egg. They have the Vault 101. There's the level 1 of Wolfenstein 3D, which you can play through a little Easter egg, and they also experiment with alternate timelines. It's just a really fun game. I recommend it to anybody who has a next-gen console. You should definitely get it. I'm currently having a blast playing it, and I would expect you would too. So, if I had to give this game a rating, I would give this game a solid 8 out of 10. It is not the best game ever, but it is a really good game, and it's really enjoyable. So, yeah, bye.